Yeah, I mean it's a new challenge. It's been a funny couple of weeks, but something I'm really excited about. From what I've seen from the outside of the Melbourne Football Club, they seem to be going in the right direction, and certainly the people that I've met within the club over the past week or two confirm that.
Was it just about longevity and maybe an extra couple of years?
Yeah, Clarko and I had a conversation nearly 2 weeks ago now, and that was the basis of the conversation. Nothing could be guaranteed past next year, and I understood that once you do pass that 30-year-old mark, things do become mainly year by year, and then I sought out Todd Viney from Melbourne, who I've had a close relationship over the past probably 10 or 12 years, and just tried to get their interest, and before I went back to Hawthorn and asked to be traded to Melbourne, and they just committed to me 3 years, which I'm rapt about. I think that's the start. I personally think I can play for longer, but the proof will be in the pudding.
You bled brown and gold though for 12 years. You just finished second in the best and fairest. Were you not taken aback at all by that meeting you had with Clarko?
I think all conversations like that we've had over the past 12 years, none have been really about what your playing future may hold. So, I mean, we've got that relationship that it was a difficult conversation for him to have and for me to sit there and listen to, but I also understood that he probably had my best interests at heart as well. And for whatever happens from now on, and Hawthorn will always be in my heart, and that is a special place for me with so many memories, but it ends one chapter and opens a new one now.
Did you feel a bit insulted though? He only thought you had 12 months left.
No, he didn't sit there and say, we think you've got 12 months left. He said there and said, we can't guarantee you anything past 12 months. And that was, I mean, I was fully aware of that. It's certainly, speaking to the older guys at the club, that's certainly how contracts are gone in the past. And that's certainly how I thought my contract would go as well. So, no, I wasn't insulted. I think we've built up that respect over time that he can have those conversations with me.
What were your emotions coming out of that meeting though? Was there disappointment? Was there anger? Was there any of that following that?
I suppose you go through a whole realm of emotions, but probably the overriding thing was I had to settle myself down and try and make a decision for me and my family in the future, and that was the overriding thing. But yeah, you do go through a lot of emotions, and some good, some bad, but with any change in club or changing career, it is an uneasy step.
Did you think you were going to be a chance to be captain next year?
There was certainly that possibility. I mean, if Hodgie signals that he wants to step down, and that hasn't been decided yet, but we've had a leadership group of probably 6 guys that, in my opinion, could easily step into that role, and Mitch and I have now stepped out of that. So if Hodgie does relinquish the captain, I'm sure whoever steps into that position is well qualified.
Does it feel unusual still? I mean, you probably thought up until 2 or 3 weeks ago you'd finish a one club player.
Yeah, I mean, it does a little bit. It probably, because I was involved in the process, Clarko and I had multiple conversations along the way. So, I mean, in my mind, I was here 2 weeks ago. So for me, it's just about getting here and probably getting in front of you guys and putting the polo on to actually go, okay, this is happening, and yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Was there much resistance from Hawthorn? Talk of a backflip at one stage?
It's probably a question you have to ask them. I think my manager and Melbourne and Hawthorn dealt with a lot of the other stuff behind closed doors, so I wasn't aware of that if that was happening. I tried to stay off social media in the past couple of weeks, so a lot of that is news to me.
So
how would you describe
join West Coast? Was there ever a point where you thought I may have to stay at Hawthorn next year?
Not at all. That was from the start. It was really about what I wanted to do and where the club saw me, and he was a totally separate issue. When he did leave, that created a hole for a lot of reasons, but certainly his decision to leave didn't impact on mine at all.
How would you describe your relationship with Alistair Clarkson now?
It's perfectly fine, and I've heard, that it's fractured and then we don't get along. Clarko and I are good of friends now as we were when we had our BNF 2 weeks ago. So that'll never change. We've got so many memories together that we will share post football that is so much stronger than what's happening now. I understand that he makes the tough calls and it's not an easy position to be in, but we've come out of it. I'm happy. The club's really happy in the end, and that's, I think, is important.
Jordan, do you still aspire to become a captain of an AFL club?
Oh, I'm a realist. I understand that I can't come in to a new environment and expect to be in a leadership position. I earned so many credits at Hawthorn, but they basically start from zero now. And it's about coming in and from what I've seen at looking at Melbourne, they're an exciting group led by Nathan Jones, who was a really good captain, and I'll be there for whatever advice he needs.
Had you ever considered the possibility of playing for Melbourne at some stage prior to 2 weeks ago?
No, I hadn't. I always had that relationship with Todd, so we would joke around about when the time would come, and it's funny that now it's here. So I mean, things happen for a reason, I believe.
Melbourne have obviously got their fair share of.
Melbourne. When Clarko and I had the conversation, for me it was about the youth and enthusiasm. They're a young, talented list. For me, they're knocking on the door. We played them last year and they beat us quite convincingly, but also the competitive nature that they play with. And that really resonated with me. And, and that was probably one of the deciding factors, along with knowing some of the people here.
Capable of playing finals next year?
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be stupid and try and put expectations on this group. But every side wants to play finals. That's why we play this game. And if I can assist that or help that in any way, that's what I'm coming here for.
Melbourne have obviously got their share of young midfielders. So where do you see yourself slotting in? Do you think that you might play sometime with a halfback flank or something like that?
Yeah, we haven't really nutted out where they see me playing. I mean, it's 2 hours into the deal, so I think Goody's jetting overseas at the moment. So we will sit down and discuss that. It might be a little similar role like Hawthorn, where I play a little bit of midfield, a little bit of wing. I'm pretty adaptable, so I mean, wherever they see me fit.
You've got a lot of good mates at Hawthorn. Jared Rufford, obviously one of them. I mean, what have the conversations been with them and the response from them?
Yeah, I mean, they've been indifferent. It's I mean, no one really likes change, and Ruffy's one of those people. He likes to have his mates around him and achieve success with that. But he's also realistic in terms of our football careers won't last forever. And I mean, after the moment I had that conversation with Clarko, I caught him straight away, and we've had a really good dialogue throughout the whole process. But he understands that at some point in time you do have to secure your future. And that's what I've done.
Just on that future though, coaching, is that in your sights after your playing days?
I'm not too sure. I mean, it's I've done what's required to do that, and whether I go down that path is still yet to be unknown. But I coach the Xavier 9A, so if that's any indication that I might be a senior coach one day, well, there you go.
Can you understand why Hawthorn people are a bit miffed that yourself and Sam have been traded out for virtually nothing?
Yeah, I can, but I think we need to look a little bit deeper, which none of us have the ability to do. So it is a little bit, I suppose, unknown to the wider community. But certainly Clarko and Graham Wright would have a plan in place, and it's certainly, I know for sure it wasn't salary cap reasons that have been reported, and not once did I get asked to take a pay cut throughout this whole process. So that was certainly not the reasons, and I really believe that Hawthorn had our best interest at heart.
Do you give Christian Salem a call and try and get the number 3 off him?
No. There'll be none of that. I mean, it's one of those things where I basically come in as a new kid, so no matter how well I've done at another club, there's no brownie points here, and that's the exciting thing for me. That's the daunting part for me. But certainly, what the players have seen from me from the outside, I hope they respect me as a player and get to know me as a person.
After so many finals, does it excite you to help a group that a lot of them probably haven't played finals to go into September like that? Yeah,
it does, and that was probably one of the main reasons why I came here, and hopefully in the not too distant future we are playing finals, and the guys can try and suck all the information out of me, because it is a different ball game once you get to that pointy end of the season. And I think I've learnt some great lessons along the way, and in 2008 and then in 2009 and also the previous 4 or 5 years that I can impart on these young boys.
You just spoke about not taking a pay cut, but did the Hawks management speak to you guys about fitting in Tom Mitchell and Jago Mira?
Not to me personally. I would imagine they would have probably spoken to a few of the guys, but I certainly wasn't one of those.
Once you had that conversation with Clarko, was it a fairly easy decision to make? Did you sort of agonise it over it?
No, it wasn't. It was a really difficult decision to make, to be honest. I've been at a club for 12 years and had some really good success and had some really good friendships that I would carry past my football career. So it was one that I had to involve other people, and I couldn't really just go to football people. I had to involve other people from outside the football world, so you get a different opinion. But once I sort of sourced out all of those people, then me and my wife and I came to the conclusion that maybe it is best to move on, and Melbourne would be the destination I want to get to.
When Clarko said there's no guarantees beyond next season, what did you feel at that point?
I mean, it was probably a hard thing to take because as players you feel like you can play forever. I'm certainly well aware of where I'm at in my career. I don't feel like my performances are slowing down, so it was hard for me to try and look beyond that. So that was probably hard to take. But we've had those conversations throughout my career, and it was just another one of those. It was weigh up your options. I couldn't back up next week and prove him wrong, so I had to weigh up my options and make the best decision.
Sam was
the three years on offer. Was that so enticing for you? The 3 years on offer.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, if I was going to change clubs, it would have to be for security reasons, and I wanted to be at a new club for a long period of time so I can help them. I didn't want to come in for 1 year and then be gone and then not impart some of my knowledge on these young kids. So that was a real big part of the move.
Sam was dealt for something in the 80s, you were something in the 50s. Is there a small part of your pride that thinks, oh gee, I'm worth a bit more than that?
No, not at all. I fully understand the position that I'm in.
Gold Coast was never an option for you.
No, it wasn't, and that got canvassed a little bit, but certainly my family are happy in Melbourne, and we've just had a little young boy a year ago, so yeah, it would. I was happy to stay here.